I could not be more excited to be with and learn from Mark Phillip, who is the Vice President of State Relations and the Executive Director of the East Region of the NC Biotech Center, Loren Limberis, Director of Eastern Region Pharma Center at East Carolina University, and Tommy Schornak, Vice President and General Manager of Thermo Fisher Scientific. I think I got all that right. Did I? Okay. Tommy, I'd like to start with you as a representative of the private sector. Talk to us about why these collaborations amongst local governments and universities and other organizations are important to the success and sustainability of your work.
Yeah, so thanks for having me, first of all, and super excited to be here. From a business perspective, we're growing, right, which is a really good thing. We're investing hundreds of millions of dollars right here in Greenville, North Carolina. And with that growth, we have to find talented individuals for, fulfilling careers long term. And partnerships is a way for us to provide meaningful work for residents that are local to Pitt County in North Carolina. And what's super important for us is partnerships have evolved since 2019 as that growth continues. So we're partnered with NC Biotech, Pitt Community College, ECU, you name it. We're trying to reach out and create other partnerships to funnel people to the site to have fulfilling careers and help us deliver on our mission to make the world healthier, cleaner, and safer. I think without those partnerships, we wouldn't be able to do what we do on a daily basis. And, looking forward to growing those partnerships over the coming years.
So, Mark, let me be cranky with you for a moment, just because I want to play devil's advocate. I met earlier today with someone in a neighboring county who was pointing out that the county continues to lose residents. That person says to you, I don't get it. Like, what is the point of all of these local collaborations? What is it doing for us? Your answer is?
I think it's really creating opportunities for these counties that are maybe losing residents, particularly in rural North Carolina. And we see it, Anita, all the time, the decrease in population. So how do we maintain that talent? How do we grow the talent? How do we work closely with the educational system, whether it's K-12 to the community college and or university? And we've seen that over the past several years that when we do various commuting studies, we'll find that talent is commuting here to Greenville or other areas across eastern North Carolina on a daily basis as well. So it's really getting those interested parties to help with us as well. It's public-private partnership. It's what it's all about, and we couldn't do it without Tommy and his team at Thermo Fisher Scientific, as well as the other pharmaceutical industries around eastern North Carolina as well. So it's very important for that collaborative model to take place, Anita.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win, for sure.
Gotcha. So, Loren, let me turn to you. Our field story focused on biopharmaceuticals, and as director of the Eastern Region Pharma Center, I wonder how you see the work supporting the BioPharma Crescent through collaborations, and maybe for those of us who don't live in a world in which bio is nearly as broad-based as it means for you, what are we talking about when we talk about this kind of industry sector, and why Eastern North Carolina?
Well, Eastern North Carolina was established in terms of the BioPharma Crescent, those five counties that was talked about in the intro there. And that crescent, it literally looks like a crescent on the map, right? Those counties. And East Carolina University is working with those 5 counties in those community colleges. They already have a lot of work established through North Carolina Biotechnology Center. We want to make that even stronger to ensure that awareness is out there for the opportunities, and to hear that people are leaving the area. They just need to be more aware of what those opportunities are, and we want to provide them those pharma pathways into getting at any level into the industry, be it right out of high school, be it at a certificate, at a community college, a 2-year program, 4-year program. Even people already in the industry, they want to upskill into the biopharma if they are more familiar with the traditional or small molecule pharmaceutics. That is where the ERPC comes in, with the help of Golden Leaf Foundation, North Carolina Biotechnology Center, and partners such as Thermo Fisher right here in Greenville, that allows us to build this coalition in terms of providing awareness, showing that there's different pathways to get into the industry for really impactful, meaningful careers.
So for any of you, tell the audience a little bit, well, what are we looking at when we think about starting jobs in this industry sector?
Yeah, I can try to start off here, and certainly input's welcome. But to circle back to what Mark said, what we find best is folks that are here stay here, right? It's disappointing when we hear residents leave to go find careers elsewhere. We have so many opportunities that they can literally start at our company and stay there forever. They can start as an entry-level filling employee and work their way to become a chemist through training through ECU, Pitt Community College, or whatever partnership we might have in the local community. I think we have hundreds of open jobs right now at Thermo Fisher Scientific, and we've been here, to touch on the other point, for over 50 years in the community. We're new as Thermo Fisher Scientific for the last 3 or 4 years. However, the site's been here for an extremely long time, and I think awareness to entry-level positions, to PhD chemists, is what we need to do better moving forward in the community.
But I want to know what your starting salaries are, because I might quit my job and come work for you.
We can talk after.
Mark, I think you will remember there was a time not so long ago when there was some concern that biotechnology as an industry sector was primarily focused in the triangle and benefiting the triangle. Talk to me a little bit about the creep across the state and what that means.
Absolutely, Anita. So in 1984, at that time, Governor Hunt, it was the demise of textile, it was the demise of really furniture manufacturing, and agriculture was a declining at some point. So they selected biotechnology. So think about it, 35 plus years ago when we started looking at that. So in 1970, Burroughs Wellcome moved from Tuckahoe, New York, to a facility right here in Greenville, which is actually the site that Thermo Fisher sits on today. So that was really the first entry point east of the Research Triangle Park. And if we recall, Research Triangle Park is a little over 50 years old as well. Right. So think about that timing. So they chose this location. So we continue to expand. So as I look at the Research Triangle Park, which is really heavy in the gene and cell therapy space, a lot of production, formulation, development, manufacturing, et cetera. What we find really east of Raleigh as we move through the Crescent region, we have a lot of heavy manufacturing facilities as well. But the entry point truly was Burroughs Wellcome in 1970. Because Burroughs Wellcome, while they had a presence in RTP, their manufacturing space was here. So we continue to build upon that since that point in time, and we've really created a great model. We've created a tremendous workforce as well. With your numbers, you talked about 5,000 by 2024. That continues to increase on a daily basis as well, because we're very fortunate in North Carolina to be recruiting companies across the country to North Carolina. So we continue to work with Tommy, we continue to work with Loren, our community college partners as well, to ensure how do we make sure that his 200 to 300 job openings are being satisfied. And so that's a really big concern for us, but it's a really big push for workforce development initiatives, and we continue to do that. So we're very fortunate that we've got that model laid out, but we can't rest on our laurels because there's so much to be done to ensure that he gets the right talent pool as well, Anita.
So Loren, talk to us a little bit. If you had to say these are the 3 most important things that ECU does to support this industry sector's growth, what would they be?
I think it's just the expansion of the success that we've already seen here in Eastern North Carolina, and to expand that. One of them would be awareness, making sure that people are aware of the opportunities here in Eastern North Carolina.
And stop there for a moment for me, please. Does that mean going into schools and making K through 12?
Absolutely,
Okay.
And that's what we're trying to do, is to make sure K through 12, they understand from a very young age the opportunities that we have here, and to provide them that pathway to get from right out of high school into a job in pharma with just a tiny bit of training. But then they are supported to go on to get a certificate with a little bit more training. And this is supported from the industries such as Thermo Fisher. And Tommy can tell you about how successful those programs are. So 1 is awareness. 2 is to provide those pathways and those opportunities, and to be able to provide the guidance and the opportunities at any level. Someone doesn't know what to do with their college degree, well, they can get into that pathway and go into pharma. And 3 is really to meet the industry demand, the explosive demand in industry, and to maintain that growth and to also provide meaningful careers for people in Eastern North Carolina.
And of course, you're also educating some of the people who are going into these companies too, right?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
Indeed. I'm going to come to audience questions next, but I want to see if Tommy will pick up on this because I really am trying to find myself a new job. So I leave UNC Chapel Hill and I come to work for you. Mm-hmm. I start out. Do I need to have some sort of credential for my entry-level job?
The short answer is no.
Okay.
So, there's multiple entry points at Thermo Fisher Scientific and other pharma industries. So, I think that's the awareness piece that we need to raise within the state. We have entry-level filling technicians, business management employees, chemistry employees, microbiology employees, right? The full end-to-end business where we're almost a small city, right? Running within Greenville, North Carolina. So, there's other pathways. We've talked about, BioPharma degrees at ECU, Pitt Community College and NC Biotech. They do pre-hire programs for us where you can pathway to Thermo Fisher Scientific by getting a little bit of training and then getting a guaranteed interview with Thermo Fisher Scientific. Then we can pathway you to an entry-level role in whatever department you might have experience in. So there's multiple pathways to enter, and then once you enter, we're going to help provide tuition assistance to get that ongoing training, whether that's at Pitt Community College or ECU, whatever that is. We also have training programs we've developed ourselves, right, to get you specific pharmaceutical experience. So when you do hit the shop floor or the office, you're not surprised with what you might come to expect on a daily basis.
And how transferable are whatever credentials somebody might get in your shop to another company?
Well, I'd hope they all stay with Thermo Fisher Scientific, but they are transferable. I've moved around. I think once you're in pharma and you can talk the lingo and you have a good understanding of what it takes to develop a product and then get it to market to patients who need it the most, that knowledge is transferable.
That's wonderful. All right, audience questions. I can't be the only person who's thinking either I'm going to go work for Tommy or my children are. Well, this is a mighty quiet group of people. Maybe we should have given you the reception first. All right. Mark, let me ask you another question. Talk to us a little bit about the Grow Local campaign. Sure. That's fascinating branding. What does it mean?
It is. Well, I'm going to give credit to our local Greenville-Pitt County Chamber of Commerce who started this program, and they actually see them in the audience today. And Grow Local was started several years ago, and it's really to expose these high school students, 9th to 12th graders, to what of their interests are, Anita, for 1 week. So they scatter buses across this county for 1 week, and this past year, I think they had 3,000 students visiting close to 100 different companies within Greenville and Pitt County. So it's just creating exposure, creeping that awareness that we've talked about. What is your interest? What intrigues you? Okay, well, let's go try to see what's going on there. I do want to take off from that Grow Local as well, because one thing that Tommy, he's humbled over here, but he's also been a great sponsor with us as well, a Pharma K-12 program. We have these high school students, these seniors, the month of March or April, they graduate in 2 months. What are you going to do? What's next? They may not have the financial resources to go to school. They may decide that they want to school. So we work with Thermo Fisher to create a training program over 2.5 days. That in that 2.5 days, they get a guaranteed interview with Thermo Fisher Scientific. And in many cases, Tommy, we just had a group of 14 go through. You've made 12 job offers to the 14 high schools. So think about this. In June, they graduate. By August, mid-August, they're offered full-time employment with that ability for tuition assistance if they do want to go back and further their education. So it's just a great program. So it segues very nice with Grow Local, so it works perfectly with that.
I love that, and love the idea of the guaranteed interview, because for many young people, it has to feel tangible, right? Mm-hmm. Just saying you'll be qualified for a job isn't the same as saying, you finish this, you'll be sitting in front of a potential employer who will be looking seriously at you. So, yay for you. So we've been talking a lot about K through 12, and that's sort of where my heart is. But it's important, I think, to ask you how all of this work evolves to support adults who are looking to change vocation, and maybe particularly the military as they are transitioning to civil employment.
I'll take that. It's a big sector. I think we got over 20,000 transitioning veterans every year in North Carolina. We're in the hotbed of these bases, think about that. But equally important, they all have spouses. So a tremendous workforce. And what we try to really focus on is these programs, these veteran outreach initiatives, to ensure we get on those bases, that ensures that his human resource folks get on these bases, that they can see what's out there. Those are very transferable skills to everything he's doing in his facility. We find these military, think about it, they know how to work at a standard operating procedure, their own time. They know how to take really detailed orders and figure it out. So they're great to our workforce. So that's a big component, Anita, that we really focus heavily on as well. And in addition to that, to the former K-12 side of things as well, it's just so much bigger than that. For those adults who want to reskill, through our local community college, Pitt Community College, great advocates, they put these reskill programs. They put them through some of the same training programs that he's having at his facilities as well. So we're really trying to upskill. Someone in the middle of life said, hey, I want to change careers. We give them those opportunities and the resources there to help them with that as well.
That's wonderful. And I see lots of nods going on. Do either of you want to
Well, I mean, for me, really quick, I do want to touch on the partnership growth since I've joined Greenville, North Carolina, which is in 2019. I mean, the partnership and collaboration, I think, wouldn't allow us to be successful if we didn't have it, right? We have, like I mentioned earlier, NC Biotech, ECU, Pitt Community College, ENC Alliance, Greenville itself, and Pitt County. The partnerships have grown so strong over the last 3 years, right? And it's a necessary piece of doing business moving forward, because that awareness, getting it out through those multiple different channels, right, allow us to provide these meaningful careers. And it touches 25 different counties around Pitt County, right, through these partnerships, through the ENC Alliance, through NC Biotech, right? We're out getting awareness and driving folks to Greenville, North Carolina, which is so exciting to be a part of.
Hard question. What is it that makes the collaboration work in this region? So I've never been to a region in North Carolina where people didn't say, A, we're very good at collaboration, and B, collaboration makes the difference. And yet, we all know that there's collaboration with a little c and collaboration with a big C. So is this big C collaboration? And if so, what makes it big C?
Yeah, I think what makes us different is we all know it benefits the surrounding communities and the people that live here, right? There's no one that's in it for themselves, if that makes sense. All of these alliances and partnerships that we've formed are to the benefit of the local community. And I think that's a different relationship that you might see in other areas.
I'd like to echo, not only that, it's just genuine. I know this man by speed dial right here. Our cell phones are connected pretty much, and so does Loren. And it's not, look, if he needs something, he knows he can call. And I know the same thing likewise. And I know he's running the industry every day with over 2,000 employees. He's got clients on him, I get it, but he usually picks up my call. And that's the genuine relationship. It's not fake, Anita. And that's what the collaboration model is all about. That's what makes this team work really well together.
So Loren, collaboration on campus can be a chore in and of itself. How are you managing collaboration across all these partners?
Well, at first it stems from even having an advisory board that helps us to tell us, to guide us, where are the opportunities and where do we need these graduates to be pointing towards. And so we're not in a bubble. We're not in a vacuum. We are working together, Tommy coming over, Mark coming over, and just coming over to the new building that we have, the Life Science and Biotechnology building, to discuss. This is the opportunities that we have. What are the needs in the area for your company, for that company, and so on. So that collaboration, I find it a joy. I enjoy working with economic developers, the industry, with the community colleges, and everybody feels that sense of family, that sense of we're all working in this together because it's going to help the region, it's going to help people for a great opportunity for Eastern North Carolina. So it is indeed genuine.
That means applause. You've got one more opportunity to ask a question. Yes.
Hi, I work with a group that is involved in providing or helping child care providers. And I'd be very interested to know, I heard you talk about training and pay and awareness, but what about issues like having adequate child care in some of the communities in Eastern North Carolina where it's hard to find adequate child care, and that would hurt your industry as well as many others?
Great question.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think from a childcare perspective, we're just starting. It's a little bit late, but to partner with local groups and folks that can help us solve that problem. We're not quite there in terms of full support, so we have an opportunity to improve a little bit with childcare as we grow. Right, when you're 1,500 employees, it's not necessarily as important as it is when you're 3,000. Right, because you're pulling from multiple different areas. So we've just started. I mean, these guys can chime in, but we've just started to reach out to partner to find out how do we better provide childcare. Overall, Thermo Fisher Scientific provides many resources, to help people find solutions outside of the site. What I'm talking about specifically is, can we partner to find childcare solutions on site, right, or close to the site and community, as opposed to maybe they have to drive and drop off and then come to work. So it's an opportunity that we've just identified as well locally that we're going to start to work on.
Mark, I suspect that every region the Biotech Center works in is having this same conversation, because so much of the inability to identify potential workers is tied to the lack of childcare across North Carolina. So what are you thinking about it as a sector?
Yeah, I think Tommy is right. You've got to really work with those childcare providers and figure out, because in many cases on pharmaceutical site, you can't place a childcare because they're really working with chemicals or active pharmaceutical ingredients that you can't expose children to that. So it's got to be proximity. But also you got to work with your other industry partners as well. So we're very fortunate that he's located pretty close to our Green Industrial Park. So that's when you look at these other industry partners as a collaborative model as well, that may not be in the life sciences, but they can support that initiative as well and really figure out if someone was to put a site close by, with those other industry partners, not only Tommy and his team, but with other industry partners work. So I think that's just part of the model. It's got to be really reviewed, but it's not as easy.
It's not easy. I mean, it's not just about facilities. It's about childcare workers.
Right,
I mean, it's affordability. It's complicated, but we certainly have to begin working through that if we're going to solve some of the labor market shortage that I think everybody is facing.
Right.
Well, I want to thank you all for sharing this genuine collaboration, Big C, with us, and more importantly, with the rest of the state, who will have a chance to understand a little bit about the magic of Eastern North Carolina. Please join me in thanking this panel.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
I do have a question. I would love for you to speak to the diversity of your company. What are you doing to promote it? And what does it look like currently? And then also, how do you market in order to diversify your employees?
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
That's a great question. Thank you for that. So at Thermo Fisher Scientific, diversity is key for us to support what we do on a daily basis. And diversity, we have business resource groups at Thermo Fisher Scientific that promote diversity and inclusion across the site. Diversity is really good. It's a key metric that we track on site, and something that we need to continue to progress the business forward. So diversity and inclusion is paramount to Thermo Fisher Scientific globally. We're a company of over 130,000 employees, and we measure that from the top down as to how well we're doing integrating diverse thoughts and employees in our workforce. I think diversity and inclusion is better than it's ever been at Thermo Fisher Scientific, and we will continue to make it our top priority moving forward.
Thank you.